And there we go. You are yellow now.
Yay, thank you.
Oh, no problem. I guess I can start the event here. All right. So, welcome to All Wallet Devs number 7. I expect this to be an incredibly light day because it's basically in the middle of the holidays. I think we have some new people showing up today, so if you guys want to introduce yourselves and what wallet you're from and, what you want to get out of this and what you work on, that'd be great.
Hey, my name is Brendan, and I'm here from Coinbase Wallet. I'm here with my colleague Adam, and I think we just want to do a better job of working with the community in terms of collaborating on which EIPs the community wants to unify around for account abstraction and smart contract wallets and the like of that in 2023.
Yep, plus one. This is Adam from Coinbase. We work with Brendan on Coinbase Wallet. We're just trying to get more in touch with the community. We're pretty interested in EIP 4337 and what that means for the future of Coinbase Wallet. So just doing a lot of research into that right now. Yep.
Hi, I'm Killari. I'm from the Interceptor, and I would be mostly interested in trying to kind of get wallets to be better, and we can work together to make them better. So I think this is a good forum for that.
Cool, thanks guys. So the only thing on the agenda for today is any cool new wallet features you want to demo. Since it's Coinbase's, I think, first time here, I don't expect you to have anything to demo, but maybe for January, if you have anything you want to show off. If you take a look at the 4337 channel, there is a link to a different Discord that's more focused on 4337, so feel free to join that too. Yoav is the person to talk to about that. Yeah, so I think that's all the formal business we have for today. If anybody wants to chat about anything, feel free. Otherwise, happy holidays.
Is anyone else following along with my debate on Magician's Forum regarding window.ethereum versus window.postmessage?
Which forum did you say that was on?
Here, Magicians, I can find the link. More useful than just hand waving.
This is the continuing the debate of how we wanted to connect to wallets in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The window.evm provider. I'm curious if anyone else is following along, and if so, if you have thoughts you'd like to discuss. I'll drop a link. That thread. It is very long, so if you were not following along already, now is probably not the time to try to catch up.
What's the 30-second difference from the other various proposals for the same thing?
So it's basically just me and KVH Nuke arguing over whether he wants to do. The problem that he wants to solve specifically is multiple wallets. The user has multiple wallets installed, and right now, if they have multiple extension wallets installed, they just fight with each other. And there are techniques each one can use to try to overwrite the other one, but ultimately only one of them gets installed. So he wants to switch from window.ethereum injection to window.evm providers injection, which I think the original proposal was an array maybe. But anyways, the idea is it would be a multiple thing. So multiple things could all inject and to slightly different spots, basically.
So basically the same thing as Corbin's extension registry, just a little bit different?
I'm not familiar with that one.
That's the one that started the whole discussion. It was you would read the value of window.ethereum. If it's set, you would add it to an array and then replace window.ethereum with a proxy that calls the array. Picks a wallet from the array, rather.
Potentially. I think it sounds like they're probably trying to solve the same problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about that in the extension registry channel too.
Right. So I'm saying that that's what he wants. What I'm arguing is that if we're going to do a major breaking change, like moving window.ethereum, meaning every single app needs to change where it looks and every library, etc., then I feel like we should make a more useful change that solves more problems than just one very, very narrow one. And the reason for this is that breaking changes are very expensive and we have limited capital to actually do them. And so if we're going to go through that, we should make the most of it. And so I'm suggesting that we do something like window.postMessage or something. So that way we not only solve the multiple wallets injected thing, but you also can support iframe wallets, so Gnosis and whatnot, which can only work with iframe wallets currently. And it feels like a cleaner solution than trying to inject code into application web pages.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that whatever the next communication method is, it shouldn't require injecting anything into the page, because giving wallets that browser permission is sketch.
Yes, that's the other big one for me. Is I really don't like the fact that in order for an browser extension wallet to work, you have to give it full access to everything you look at on the internet. Though to be fair, I did file a bug with Google Chrome like years ago, and they finally fixed it. And so you can actually connect to extensions now in Chrome, and I think in Firefox as well, maybe, without having to get permission to access every single website on the internet. Let me see if I can find the.
Is that with a
It's
post
my-
message?
No. So it's externally connectable. It has to do with it's going into Manifest v3, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while, but like around 5 or 6 months ago, we were in talks with the Chrome team where we were just giving feedback, and our request was that Chrome just actually have like a built-in UI for wallet requests, so that it stands out as a special thing. But I forget when we last had contact with them. It didn't seem like something that would be top of their priority list.
If you are talking to Chrome, my proposal for this is to use a custom scheme handler. So like Web Plus, like EVM or something like that, //. And Firefox already has a UI for choosing between implementations. If you're talking to Chrome, get them to make that little dialog box, and then it'll work for wallets. It'll be perfect.
What did you call that dialog box again?
It's a dialog for choosing a custom scheme handler. There's a Chrome issue for it. I can probably find it eventually.
It's similar to how on mobile devices, if some mobile device says, hey, I want some app to handle Bitcoin : // it will announce to the OS, hey, I have a Bitcoin : // link. Please let the user choose. And then the user can either have a single handler for that just automatically gets opened, or the OS has a little pop-up that says, hey, we've noticed you've got 3 different things that can handle Bitcoin : // so which one do you want to use? I'm sure everybody has seen this on their mobile device at some point, where you get the little thing that says, which do you want to use? And you can check the box for always use this one.
It's only on Android, right? But yeah, it's one of the points where I would also advocate against injection, because it's actually, when thinking about mobile, injection is not like anything else. Like actually the scheme that Sam proposed is way nicer also to going forward into a mobile world, which, I mean, currently it's not super relevant yet. Everything is still web page and web app, but yeah.
That's a very good point. The scheme handler would translate to mobile directly.
Except on Apple devices, because you can't register multiple handlers for the same thing on iPhone for some reason.
I'll be right back. I need to find a table to flip.
Yes, this is something that within the Safe team we actually worked quite a while, and I think the Wallet Connect team can also tell you a story about this, because they did a huge workaround just for Apple devices with universal links to get this to work. It was really fun. Yeah, also even the post message, I would assume in general, is a little bit nicer than injection. Like, I mean, currently, like to inject something on Android into a web view is also not the nicest, and it's super hacky. And I mean, besides all the comments about injection in general, but
I agree with everything. So the Chrome issue was currently extensions. If you want an extension that interacts with any website, then the extension needs to be registered with, like in its manifest, it needs to say, I need access to https://*. And that's why the extension then prompts saying, hey, this is going to have read and write access to every single one of your web pages. There is a mechanism for making it so now mechanism in Chrome, at least, that an extension can say, websites can talk to me. So like you can reach me first. And then once the website initiates with you, then you can give access from directly. And so this means you do not need access to every website because the website can initiate the conversation instead of the extension needing to. If I remember this correctly. So this is wow, 5 years ago. Almost 6.
Yeah, I took down a few notes.
Sure,
I don't have any like.
So theoretically, we could use externally this externally connectable thing instead. I still prefer window.postmessage over externally connectable because it supports iframes and not just extensions. Whereas I think the externally connectable stuff would purely be extension support, and I'd like to get away from coupling so strongly with extensions.
And of course, the biggest advantage to the schema handler is that it
Anyone
works
have a
with.
burning passion to create a new, like the entire communication protocol over something new, which includes enveloping and whatnot? Take that as a no.
What would that look like? Can you hear us or no? Can anybody other than Micah hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry.
It would be interesting. I mean, it's a discussion between between you and this KV, whatever his name is. I mean, the one who is like also the major injector is still MetaMask, right? Would be interested how willing they would be to pull along with switching to like something like posted message. And it's always the tricky part, right? Like it is a wallet that is the biggest one that is injecting still, and it would break them the most.
I mean, I think I'm not really super prepped for this conversation, but the Coinbase wallet injects as well. And there was a point where users who had both MetaMask and Coinbase wallet installed at the same time was a problem. And if I remember correctly, we now detect this and show a pop-up to the user, ask him to pick. So I think it's a solved problem on our end. But in terms of injection and safety in general, internally, it was very difficult to get Coinbase Wallet extension approved on our corporate Chrome instances just because of the permissioning problems. So I think we would generally like to move away from injection, but don't quote me on that.
I don't think. Can you guys hear me? And can I hear you still?
You can hear.
Yeah.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not lagged. That's important. So the impression I've gotten from MetaMask in the past is that they would not be opposed to this. I think the biggest hurdle is just getting MetaMask to make a significant code change. I don't think they would resist it. Like, I don't think they're going to fight it. I don't think they're going to say no, this is a terrible idea. But I also don't think they're going to lead the charge at all. And it may require some third party submitting PRs potentially in the worst case.
So the externally connectable approach that you made a bug for, that would work today, right?
In Chrome, I don't know if Firefox has implemented the same thing. I only submitted the bug in Chrome a long time ago, which makes me think that maybe Firefox already had it. Or maybe this was before I started hating Google. I don't know. It's a long time ago.
Okay, so
But yes, externally connectable, I believe. Someone dropped a link.
okay, yeah, it looks like it's in Firefox.
Well, so Chrome has had externally connectable for a long time. The problem is they restricted. You couldn't put cards in, if I remember correctly. You couldn't wildcard the whole domain, which basically is saying the extension could say Coinbase.com is allowed to connect to me, but no other websites can. There was no way to say any website is allowed to connect to me. And so my bug was saying this is a security issue because you're basically backing extension developers into a corner where they now have to ask for much more broad permissions in order to do what they need to do. Whereas if you just allow us to put a wildcard in there, then we don't need that. So I don't know if Firefox allows for full domain wildcards or not, or only subdomain wildcard.
So on that
Sorry.
page, it says that Firefox does not support externally connectable at all.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would not work today, I guess.
No,
I
okay.
think at this point I prefer window.postMessage because it also works with iframes and
And it doesn't need permissions, like any special permissions?
I do not believe so. I think any extension can window.postMessage to, because window.postMessage you're not given any permission to see anything on the page. You are only able to broadcast and you're only able to listen to things that are posted to
Back to you.
the message. Well,
So,
to the message bus for the page. Like you can see the page's message bus, but you cannot see any.
so the way
contents
that
of
would work is the page would load, the wallet would post message to it to say that it has a wallet installed, and then communication would go from there.
I would do it the other way. So I would say the page loads, the page posts a message saying, "Hey, I'm looking for wallets," and then one or
Okay.
more wallets can then respond. And the reason for that is because we want the page to have loaded enough that they're actually listening before we start posting. And so from a timing standpoint, the page is the thing that's going to most likely load last. And so, and also from a privacy standpoint, we don't necessarily want the wallets to proactively tell every single page they exist because it violates users' privacy. It gives them fingerprinting and stuff.
Yeah,
And
okay,
so
that makes
by
sense.
having the page ask first and say, "Hey, I'm looking for wallet," it means that the wallet can now reasonably prompt the user. Whereas if it was the other way around, then you would need to prompt the user for literally every single page on the internet when only 0.1% of them actually care. And so the idea is to have the page broadcast saying, "Looking for wallets." Any wallet that's interested can either ask the user or just automatically respond. And then once the page has received those responses, it can now list them. And so part of that response would include like your icon, your friendly name, your like some sort of ID or something like that, and maybe a public key for encryption. And so then the page can now has a list of wallets that are available. They can present that to the user. They can use the icons that were provided to them and the names provided to them from the wallets. And then once the user picks one, then if we go with the encryption key, then they can now do an encrypted communication with that wallet.
Okay, cool. And so that's doable today, and
Yes.
okay,
In
so
fact, I
that's
have a library that does it.
so that's
And it works.
probably the approach we should go with if anybody's interested in standardizing it. But I still think that the scheme handlers are way more general purpose, but they would require
Agreed.
PRs into Chrome. And yeah, so this is just something to think about over the holidays, I guess, is which approach do we want to go with?
One note says also that the post message approach is being used, as Mika said, by the Safe in a similar purpose, and Ledger actually. Like Ledger Live uses also this way to communicate between like their app and the iframe or like the web app, which is nice. It would be nice to standardize this because right now Ledger does it differently than we at the Safe team do it, and it's all a little bit different than injection works, which, you know, it's nice that it works somehow right now, but it's a pain in general.
I do agree with Sam that I think the scheme handler, if we can somehow get Chrome to present a list, the scheme handler is strictly better. Out of curiosity, if we ignore the multi-wallet scenario, does the scheme handler work today?
Yes.
So the only issue is that if a user has multiple wallets, only one of them can respond to the page when it requests for scheme handle.
Yeah, and it's a bitch to change between them. You have to go through the like deep in the settings in Chrome.
Right.
Can you link into the settings in Chrome? I mean, on Android, this is always a proposed way, right? Like if some of the settings in the Android system don't fulfill the purpose of your app, then Android developer docs say link into the settings where the users can change it. I'm not sure if you can do the same on Chrome.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it should be easy to look.
I think the other thing, so alternative to actually going and getting this implemented in Chrome, if we can just, I mean, maybe this is just as hard, but if we get like positive feedback from the Chrome team indicating, yes, we think this is a good idea, I feel like we could potentially move forward and just say, you know, we don't have multi-wallet support in Chrome yet, but Firefox does. And so if you're doing multiple wallets, which is the uncommon case, then use Firefox until Chrome implements it.
Probably would, I agree. For the multi-wallet approach, it probably makes sense to talk to Pedro from Wallet Connect, because he also said he played around and tried to evaluate like what is the best approach to handle this with the schemes when they were doing it for Wallet Connect. Maybe he has some insights which allow to say, okay, there is a nice workaround, or no, there's no good workaround. We have to go with no Chrome support.
And who is that? Can you type their handle in the chat or something?
Let me explain on this chat. I did it on this search. Yeah, and I think even because we said before on iOS, it's like there you wouldn't have multi-wallet support, right? It is similar how it is in Chrome in the sense of on iOS, you would have to choose your wallet that should handle this, right? Like the user can actively choose this themselves, also somewhere in their settings again, probably similar as in Chrome. So it is something which you would still work, right? Like most of the users don't use like 20 wallets in parallel constantly, or even 2 wallets constantly in parallel. But most of the users have a daily wallet and then an exceptional wallet, which probably is fine in this case.
Could we do?
Don't pin me on this. There's probably some user research guy that has data on this that says otherwise.
I wonder if we could, just brainstorming here, is there anything we could do with multiple scheme handlers where maybe one could imagine if MetaMask registers as scheme handler A and Coinbase Wallet registers as scheme handler B, and then you have some orchestrator wallet that registers as the general scheme handler, and then it knows about the other 2 scheme handlers that you have installed, and it can then distribute or something?
So like a single application that just like pops up a dialog, asks you which one to use, and then forwards it to that other scheme handler?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, again, I'm just trying to think out loud if there's anything we can do with, you know, not having one global scheme handler, but having somehow multiple scheme handlers that then are somehow detected or aggregated in some way such that they can be, you know, listed to the
Yes.
user somehow.
So the link that Rhyme just posted, it includes the details of how they do that in iOS, which looks exactly like that.
The disadvantage here is that at this point, Wallet Connect had basically their own registry where everybody has to register. So if we want to go, like, this is probably not the nicest way, right? Like, I mean, we already have a couple list and registry where these could probably then be registered, but it's always a pain to say, hey, you have a registry, and if, especially if this is then shipped or bundled with your app, no matter what platform, if a new wallet comes up, it's first of all not supported. This is the iOS way, right? Like, it's new wallets are not supported by default. But then for this fallback, you could still say, hey, you should handle also the default one, and then for this new wallet, the user would have to explicitly set it as a default handler until it's supported at some point. Sadly enough, the registry from Wallet Connect is not available anymore, apparently. It gives me a 4.4.
Nice.
So would the like approach with the custom schema handler be to just standardize, like, let's say the Wallet Connect format, and then everybody just supports that, or would we want to make a new standard for doing these kind of links?
So I think doesn't the Wallet Connect handler right now require a centralized server to go through? Like, don't they have it? Isn't it defined pretty narrowly to their product, basically?
Yes and no, right? I mean, the protocol part, which basically chooses the wallet that should handle it, this is independent of Wallet Connect. But then the path and the host part, or whatever, of this URI, this is then specific to Wallet Connect, right? Like, in general, I think even for the safe, for example, we have a Gnosis safe schema, and if you would use the schema, it would know on all platforms, oh, I should use the Gnosis Safe wallet to handle this, at least on the mobile platforms right now. And it would automatically push you into our apps. If you now use Gnosis Safe with something else in Wallet Connect, it would probably error in the wallets. I hope it doesn't crash, but it would at least error you in the wallets. But in general, the protocol would already guide you into the correct wallet. On Android, we should even be able to handle this. Like, Wallet Connect that also has their own scheme, which is very similar to what you said, right? Like having wallet-specific schemes and then a general scheme. This obviously is in a different case. This one is then specific to Wallet Connect as far as I know.
What is the general scheme they use?
I think WC.
Oh, I thought that was their specific scheme.
No, that's their specific scheme. They don't have I meant this is in the Wallet Connect context. It's a general scheme, right? Like, it's a general compared to all the wallet specific ones. But yeah, it's wallet specific. It's Wallet Connect specific. While the other ones is like, I would have to look up the registry, but they said here example wallet, right? Like, then they have it. If you look in the iOS section, that's then example wallet //WC. This would be the one if you go to the wallet specific one. The thing is that they say for the Wallet Connect scheme, so for the more general one that is not specific to one wallet, this does not really work well on iOS. And probably Chrome similarly.
So I guess what do we need to have before wallets are willing to move forward on a new way of connecting like this? Like, do we need a full standard? Do we need like a prototype? What do we need to get people to accept a new communication channel?
It'd be great to have something similar to like an EIP that I can circle with the folks internally that work on Coinbase Wallet SDK.
Okay, cool.
Related question, right? Like, since this would be a URI, I can remember that in the past there was an EIP that specified how such an URI should look like for certain transactions, like payments and so on, which kind of is deep linking, which would potentially be relevant for this one too, because you have a handler, right? Like, and you click on it and it should either post a transaction or connect back. I'm not sure how this then necessarily works, because you would have to post all the actions towards the handler, right? Like, this would be in general also maybe interesting how the flow would be there if the handler, if this handler URL is just used to initiate the connection, or if this is something.
So to keep it the most general, like so it also works with external applications, I think we'd want to do it so that you click on the link contains a WebRTC like endpoint that the DApp listens on, and then the wallet connects back to the DApp through that WebRTC channel.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's I think that's cool, and it's very much in line what I think at some point Wallet Connect also envisioned. So
Are we
they
confident?
moved away from this.
Are we confident that WebRTC isn't gonna? So maybe I think for me, the thing that I would want to see is a proof of concept that this WebRTC thing can actually work. Meaning, an application running on a user's browser can open up a
Listening port.
can listen on WebRTC, whatever that means, and then be connected to by an app running on that physical host, and ideally on both Mac and Windows, and another website, open another tab in the browser, can also reach it, and a mobile device on the same internal network can reach it, assuming just normal default home router stuff. If those 4 cases work, then I'm convinced. I'm a little worried the WebRTC is going to have like some really sharp edges for one or more of those cases.
Oh, it really will, but we can try it. So, I mean, I have some of this already prototyped, so I can probably build like a demo that just shows WebRTC working like that.
Yeah, I think if you can show a demo of WebRTC working in those 4 scenarios, just being able to get that connection open without having to run a server on your host or open firewall ports or anything like that.
Yeah, I think
then I
it's
think
the
I'd be
only
convinced enough.
the only thing that I think that you would be very concerned about are the ICE and turn servers, the ones that allow you to punch through firewall holes.
And those are necessary even if you're
No, if
connecting
you're on
from the
this,
same host.
if you're on the same network, you don't need them.
Okay,
And
then I don't
similar. But the problem is you don't necessarily you don't know if you're on the same network.
So my preference would be that we design and build under the assumption that the mobile device or the signer device or whatever is on the same network as the.
Well, same network and ports are open.
Yeah, so I guess
think
Windows
for-
firewall, for example, is going to get in the way here, right?
Yeah,
Or-
I mean, for an initial prototype, it probably would even be fair to assume that you're on the same device. Even so, not optimal, obviously, because if you have a mobile device trying to connect to a web page on your desktop PC,
Well, what I'm concerned about is that I feel like the mobile device on your home network connecting to a page sitting on your desktop. I feel like that is an incredibly common and ideal case that if we can't solve that, it's like,
There's
why
no
are we
point.
bothering?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that is the case to solve for. And we should also solve the other cases, like you have another tab in your browser that is the wallet, or you have another app on your physical
So
device.
those ones will
your host.
work. Those ones will definitely work.
but
Those I'm less worried about. Go ahead.
Yeah, my point was more why I do agree that this would be the awesome case that mobile device on the same network towards the browser would be super awesome. Thinking about, okay, when we think about it in the context of post message or injection, this is also something that's, I mean, this would be an immediate win over these 2, but that's why I would say, hey, even if it's on the same device first, it would showcase that it's at least on the same level as post message and injection. And therefore,
I see what you're saying.
Again, also there, I would loop in the Wallet Connect team because they looked into this quite some time ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, even if we could only do same device, we're already better than Window.post message because at least you can have your wallet as a application running outside your browser or another tab in your browser. And so I guess WebRTC without mobile, Richard's right, is strictly better than Window.post message.
All right. Well, I'll try to make a prototype for all this and get like a desktop app, another tab, and if I can do more, yeah. So that'll be fun.
I think the full set would be desktop app, a second tab, a second browser, though I'm guessing it's basically the same as desktop app, maybe an extension, and then the the golden goose would be another device on the same network.
I think
Or even better.
the real golden device would be the DApp provides all of the servers you need to make the connection, and then the wallet asks if you want to try using those to make the connection, and then it'll work even on different networks.
So like you can say I'm on the same network, so use the local, or I am a different network, so use a stun or a server or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, so if you could show a demo that just showed, I mean, it doesn't have to be a wallet, just literally just prove that all this stuff can be done with WebRTC, that would give me significantly more confidence. And I think I'm generally okay with telling users, hey, if you're on Chrome, you only get one wallet. If you want to use multiple wallets, go use Firefox. Like, I have no problem with telling users that. I think single wallet is by far the common case, and encouraging users to use Firefox is not a bad thing at all, in my opinion. And so for the advanced user that needs 2 wallets, I think that's acceptable. Do others disagree with that?
No, sounds good. I would love to see the prototype.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, I'll whip something up over the holidays then.
You're welcome, Sam. I was worried you were getting bored over the holidays, so
I was too.
fix that for you. So yeah, and then assuming that all works, I think the next step after that for me would be a bunch of people who are passionate about this getting together and coming up with some sort of specification, like an EIP type thing, that just describes what we all are envisioning, what the flow is. You know, who communicates first, what is then what these URIs look like, stuff like that. And then once we settle on that, then we, I guess, start building a proof of concept wallet and DApp that actually uses all of it, and an SDK or something. Where we here means other people, of course.
I guess if there's no other thoughts on this particular topic, I'd like to move a little bit more informally on to how do we get more wallet devs to come to this call more regularly? Because that's kind of a problem we have.
Broadcast more, maybe? I don't know. Are all the wallets aware this server exists and these meetings exist?
We have most of the big wallets here, just no one attends, no one comments, no one participates. So,
for whatever it's worth, from a UX standpoint, is most of, at least Coinbase, most of our meetings are through Google Meet. So like, there's 2 folks from Coinbase Wallet that I thought might have more thoughts to chime in here, but they have to go through like a Discord invite process, right, before they can actually hop in this room. So if there's a way where we could just send them a link and they can immediately hop in, that'd make it easier to wrangle the right folks.
Okay, so people who don't necessarily want to be part of the text channels but still want to join the calls.
Yeah, I mean it's a very nitpick, but just a.
Hey, if it gets more people here, it's not a nitpick. So I'll look into that.
I think it's quite legitimate. Like, there are, I am in, I don't know, 6 or 7 or more Zoom calls a week, probably closer to 10, I guess. And if I couldn't just click a link in my calendar for some of them, I probably wouldn't show up. So I can definitely appreciate that. Like, there's like this borderline where the call is interesting that I kind of want to go, but if I have to do any work to get there, then I won't. And so maybe there's some set of users that were developers that are in that same boat for wallet. That's
another good point too. Is like my schedule, I kind of completely run out Google Calendar, so like I can guarantee you that we'll have a bunch of Coinbase people here if we just have a Google Calendar recurring link that we can just add people onto.
There should be one in the welcome channel.
Okay, I'll go look for that. Thank you.
There is one, but you can't join here right away. And it's also shown that it's an unknown event for me in the Google Calendar.
Oh, really? Okay.
It shows like a private event that doesn't show any kind of description or anything about it.
Yeah, I'll see if I can change the permissions.
Also out of personal experience, I have to say that even like I have so many Discord servers that just discovering it via Discord was super tricky. Like it was by accident, because Discord is also something like you open the page, and if you haven't opened it for like 2 days, it gives you pop-ups left and right that you want to discover new features, and that you have certain things that are in your wallet because you have rewards from some service, and it's easy to miss this. So probably some propagation would be nice. If we have a proper invite link that is one click, I'm happy to share this with the safe team so that they can propagate it through their channels to create some visibility.
Yeah, +1. I just added that Google Cal link. It does show up as private, and I'll also +1 on the Discord. As someone who's not on Discord communities, it's a bit tricky to get into the room today.
Okay, yeah. So I'll see if I can use like either a Zoom or a Jitsi, depending on what we can wrangle at the foundation. And yeah.
I had a comment on discoverability of this group. Like, I don't even remember how I came across it. I think just like scrolling through crypto Twitter, randomly saw a mention about this working group, and I was like, oh, I'm a wallet dev. Like when I Googled all wallet devs, like nothing came up. There's no like homepage, there's no anything. And so I just kind of like scrolled around through Sam, your tweets, and saw one of them said DM me for an invite. So that's what I did. Just it feels like it's kind of like hidden or secret. So
Okay, yeah, we can make it more public. I'm just not a front end dev, so I didn't make a website or anything. If somebody else wants to make one, please feel free.
Don't say
And now that we know
for
about
this
the
way, you just
Discord-
type do me a website for crypto wallet devs, and you press enter, and it gives you the website.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, ChatGPT. Just ask it; it'll build a website for you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wallet devs in the Discord already. Maybe they're not like aware or not reminded. So maybe you can ping them using the add everyone or add here when you post your reminder, Sam. I don't think it's intrusive at all. I think it's just I think it's a good reminder if you use the ping in the Discord.
Okay, yeah, I can start doing that.
More holiday work for Sam.
I mean, adding at here is not that bad.
Well, figuring out Zoom or Jitsi, and then getting your calendar fixed, and building a website with ChatGPT. You got a lot of work cut out.
Oh, I'm not building the website at all. If somebody else wants to do it, please feel free.
Yeah, I think like the last time there were a lot of wallet devs on a call was that I remember being involved with was for 15.5.9. So I think like next year, like we're going to do our best to be here consistently, but I think it makes sense that next year with work around account abstraction that there'll be a natural incentive for wallets to show up, just so we don't end up creating work for ourselves by doing different things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
So optimistic about account abstraction next year.
I mean, we'll have 4337. That's yeah.
Just only because the core devs can't hold it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that. Yeah, I wish we could get real account abstraction, not.
On one hand, Micah wants ossification, and on the other, he wants account
Wait, very
abstraction.
I have a hierarchy of wants, and if I recognize that one of my wants is most definitely not going to be fulfilled, I have the ability to cross it off and then reevaluate my world model without that. And so if I
You have single
assert-
transferable vote,
yeah, exactly. If I assert that classification is not going to happen just mentally, I just reorganize my worldview, and now I want real account abstraction, not 437. But if I see ossification back on the table, I'm going to take it. In which case, I love 437 at that point.
So I am once again going to take this opportunity to plug EAP5139. Still looking for feedback from wallet devs if anybody's thinking about implementing it, and yeah, go check it out.
That's one we talked about a while ago, right?
Yeah, it's the list of RPC providers in a standardized format that you can share.
Similar to
Okay. This is my first
tokenless-
time looking at this, but this would be great because I think last year when we added 3085 support, I was just manually going through a bunch of dApps, removing his MetaMask or changing his MetaMask checks to his MetaMask and his Coinbase wallet. This would be great.
Did Chain ID really not exist before EIP 155? I feel like it existed before.
There was a network ID, but as by good design, we made sure that network ID and chain ID are not completely the same. Just most of the time. But yeah.
So prior to 155, there was only the network ID, and you're saying 155 introduced the concept of a chain ID entirely. Is that accurate?
Yes, this is how I'm aware of this. And then they were used, they were not set equal, right? So in some cases, it's possible that you have different chain IDs for the same network ID. Very rare cases, which is super weird. But yeah. I think there was a motivation to push this or to unify this, but I'm not sure how this went. I'm not even sure, it now says to link to chainlist.org, right, to get the chain ID, but yeah.
So to answer your question, Sam, I believe I looked over this a while ago, and I think I was generally fine with it. So I'm a fan of the concept.
I look forward to support in Micah Wallet then.
So our plan is to not support multiple chains because everything but Ethereum is horrible. At least that's my plan. I don't know about everybody else who's working. They may all disagree strongly.
Like Curly.
Okay, fine. Ethereum and Gurley. That's it.
Good.
I thought Sepolia is this thing now.
Oh yeah, okay, fine. Ethereum, Gurley, and Sepolia.
And what
God
about
damn
this
it,
new
we're
one
already-
starting next week? Next year.
We're already up to it. We're already up to a list. I just can't win. I think for your EIP, something that would help a lot, Sam, is to have maybe not a lot. It would be nice to, I think, have the illustrative example first before the schema. I haven't ever met someone who can just read a schema and understand it, like on first shot. And so I think that having the example lead, like maybe in the
Yeah. So sorry, dumb question. I'm just reading through the EIP for the first time. I assumed that this was actually going to be a way for wallets to identify what RPC methods they support, but it looks like this is a way for adapt to say, hey, when writing this chain, these are the RPC calls that we want to use, and then the wallet will store those and validate that chain only uses those methods. Is that right?
It's more so that, like, let's say you're MetaMask or Coinbase Wallet or whatever, and you by default support like mainnet, Goerli, and Sepolia, right? But then your user goes to a Polygon app, and it's basically equivalent to Ethereum, but just with a different RPC provider, and the wallet _ add RPC provider API is kind of like sketchy because RPC providers get like secret data about users, essentially, like what transactions they're broadcasting and all that. So you don't necessarily want the dApp itself to suggest the RPC provider. So these lists are a way to have a community maintained list of RPC providers for all chain IDs.
Oh, interesting.
very similar to, are you familiar with tokenlist.org?
Yeah.
Same thing as that, basically, but for RPCs. So anyone can publish, hey, here's the list of RPCs that I trust and I think you should use. And a bunch of different people can publish similar lists, and users can then just import a whole list at once of RPCs into their wallet.
Okay, so I get the idea then of having like community list of RPCs, and then so basically this EIP then it will change. Would it modify EIP 3085 or like how we implement that? I guess like if would this change like how we handle ad Ethereum chain requests?
Yeah, you'd probably deprecate that method entirely.
Yeah, so
Got
it's
it.
part of the motivation for the list was because 3085 is very dangerous from a security standpoint. And so we wanted some way to not do that, but at the same time, we do need a way to make it so users can easily, get RPCs into their wallet, even if the wallet doesn't support them out of the box. And so the goal here is to kind of make a standard that then the community can build lists of RPCs. And, just like with the token list, there's a couple that are very popular and everybody uses, like the CoinGecko one, I think, is very popular. And we don't have to have every single wallet, maintaining their own list of RPCs.
Okay, and how would the list? How would we maintain the list? Like, how would that work?
And that would just
So-
get to. Go ahead, Sam.
No, as Coinbase, you'd have a list with probably 1 or 2 entries for the chains that you provide RPC endpoints for. So you wouldn't worry about maintaining a bigger list, but the community would have a larger list.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, like today, if we have like internally like the concept of whitelisted chains, right? So like Polygon, Ethereum, the testnets, we have our own RPC, and we default users to using that. Even if like a dApp sends us a 3085 request, we basically ignore the RPC that they give. But for like, let's say like the user wants to add like Harmony One network, my understanding is this EIP would look at some source of lists, look at some source that would give like community trusted RPCs for Harmony. I'm just wondering, like, how do we know that list is got RPCs that are safe? Or like, I'm just curious because how do we maintain? How does that list get maintained?
So the way Uniswap handled this back before they went all evil, was they, by default, your token list was a token list that they provided that was pretty short. It contained a handful of things, and that was it. However, they also included links to a bunch of other lists that you could then enable. And so the user, if you didn't see your token in the list, they'd have a little button at the bottom that says manage my token list. And you click that, and it would say, hey, here's some token lists that we know of. These are third-party token lists, so use at your own risk, and here's some links to their websites. And so they had like CoinGeckos, and they had the Aave token list, and they got the 1inch token list. And the user could say, I trust CoinGecko, so I'm going to go ahead and use their list as well. And so for Coinbase wallet users, I could imagine a similar workflow where by default, the RPCs are the ones that you guys have whitelisted that you provide directly. But then the user, you could also have these lists of RPCs from multiple third-party sources, and you just when the user goes to, let's say, a new network or when a dApp tries to switch to a new network that you don't support, you could say, hey, we don't support this, but here are some third parties that have provided lists of RPCs. If there's any names in this list that you trust, you can go ahead and use one of those. Or the user could, of course, add their own list of RPCs. Does that make
Just
sense?
like yeah, if you've ever used the ad block filter lists, I don't know if that's a concept that people are familiar with. It'd be like that. Like you just pick a list from somebody you trust and use that.
Got it.
What we're really trying to get away from is we really don't want dApps to be recommending RPCs, because it's very dangerous for users when they do that.
And then just to make sure I fully understand the danger of a dApp providing RPC. So one concern is that they provide a node that would do something like sandwich attack or various front running.
I mean, the node can also lie to them in responses. So the node can tell them, oh, here is the state, like this is the going rate for token XYZ. And when really the going rate is not that, because the RPC can say whatever it wants. And so when a user makes queries and they think they're using Uniswap and they trust Uniswap, but the RPC that's backing everything is lying about the current price of things, then they may make poor decisions.
Got it.
Or they could, respond with errors that contain links, or if they happen to, if there's a website that doesn't properly sanitize their inputs, maybe they have a mechanism for using the RPC as a means to getting data.
Cross-site
presented to the
scripting
user.
or
Yeah, cross-site scripting and stuff like that. Like basically, the RPCs really are were designed to be trusted from the beginning, and we have moved to a world where people are kind of blindly trusting them. And now we're kind of, with 3085, we're stepping into a world where we're now random websites on the internet are able to give you a thing that then all your apps and all your wallet and everything blindly trusts. And so we really want to try to avoid that whole class of attack.
because it's not like when you add this RPC provider, it's not just limited to the website that you added it on, right? It's for anything that uses the same chain ID. So if you go on like a malicious dApp and they add a Polygon chain ID, then they get all of your Polygon transactions across all dApps.
Yeah.
And they answer all Polygon related requests across all dApps as well.
No, that's super good. We display right now, when you add a new network, we display like a very scary warning about trusting RPC, or I'll provide it. But I'm embarrassed to say I never actually thought of a dApp changing, what the true get balance call should be, or what the true exchange rate should be. So that helps solidify why it's scary to let a dApp provide an RPC, or how they'll be used for that network across many dApps.
But you can make it at least a little bit more secure by making it so if a particular domain recommends an RPC, the RPC only is registered for that domain. And that would be following 3085 still, but at least secure the user somewhat, so you couldn't do these cross-domain attacks. It's still not great because
if the wallet UI is grabbing exchange rates from the RPC endpoint, then
so like in the wallet itself, I guess it would, if your wallet has an exchange or whatever, or pricing or something, balances, So it's not great, but you can at least do better. So if you do want to support 3085, my recommendation would be to constrain. Anytime someone adds a chain, it's constrained to the domain at least, or ideally make the subdomain.
That's good feedback. I'm writing that down. I like that.
Of course, the disadvantage is a lot of people, like this is the argument that came up in when we started discussing this was that someone was like, well, I am the author of an L2. And so when someone goes to like polygon.com or whatever their website is, we have a button for add the RPC to your MetaMask. But then the user goes off and uses apps that are not on that domain, and they don't have the RPC anymore if you follow this technique. So it's not perfect because there are situations where you actually do want to add across domains.
Yeah, I'm thinking like there's like two thoughts I'm having just speaking off the cuff. I mean, one is generally the users who are using custom networks are like should be, or we would think of as our most advanced users. There's a bit of an element of like giving
That's very optimistic.
them more responsibility. But the other thought I'm having is we do have we have a team internally that's focused completely on safety, and maybe one area that they could help out in the community is just maintaining if this EIP were implemented, maintaining a public list of here are the RPC nodes that Coinbase has audited and believes are secure.
Yeah, and that's kind of exactly what we're hoping, I think, with this with the EIP 5139, is that a few trusted players within the ecosystem will show up and create some really thorough RPC lists, and then kind of the community can then centralize around those. And so maybe MetaMask will add Coinbase's list as one of their secondary sources. And so they'll still have their own built-in list that is their default, but they'll provide the user and say, hey, if you want to use Coinbase lists, they have more kind of thing. Which would be great.
I'm just thinking like off the cuff, the tough bit would be like, I mean, ideally, right? If the thing that we could vouch for the security of the most would just be providing a node for that chain, right?
Yep.
I'm wondering. I'm just trying to imagine what it would take for us to vouch for a node provided by someone else, because we can audit it and then they can change their behavior, and that could create some sort of liability issue.
Yep, definitely.
And then, but the whole reason though that we wouldn't even have it as a whitelisted chain is that the chain just doesn't have enough usage yet for us to justify the cost and maintenance of running a node for that chain.
Yep.
Which to me, so if I'm being totally honest, as I think out loud, it would probably be the feedback on constraining 3085 requests to that particular DApp. That's something that we could act on. But the list idea, my hunch is that it's a problem that I would see it difficult for us to lobby to put much work towards it, right? Because I think most of our focus will be on supporting chains like Optimism, Arbitrum, and the various ZK rollups that have a significant amount of investment and have a significant, we forecast all a significant amount of usage, enough to justify us just running our own node or working with a third-party vendor that we've already onboarded.
My guess is that if wallets can just implement support for 5139 lists, and like a way the user can just paste in a list and it will then populate. I think that is enough. And then one can imagine, like Infura will probably publish a list of all their free stuff. Infura and QuickNode and Alchemy and people that have paid RPCs would probably, one can imagine them like on your personal dashboard when you log into like quicknode.com or whatever. On your dashboard, you could say, download my RPC list for all the nodes that I have. And some users, have several nodes through QuickNode, one for each of the chains they use. And they can just get one list and then paste that into Coinbase Wallet.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So, all right, that's a good counterpoint, I guess. Sorry. I guess, yeah, if QuickNode had a public node for a chain that's not whitelisted, then that would be something that we could feel safe in using, right? As opposed to just some random entity providing a node. So yeah, that's a fair point. Right. My only question there would be, would QuickNode really provide a node? I guess, yeah, one of the things we've seen is that a lot of formerly public nodes are kind of become unusable due to rate limiting.
Right.
So I'm
This is
just
why I think.
wondering. Yeah, go ahead.
This is why I think that like QuickNode, so they might have their list of public nodes, but they would also provide to their users on the user's dashboard on QuickNode.com. Like when the user logs into QuickNode.com, they go to their dashboard. That user has perhaps purchased a node for 3 different chains, 2 of which are popular, one of which no one's ever heard of before. And QuickNode could just have a single URL the user can copy that is a URL for their personalized RPC list. And they would just paste that into Coinbase Wallet. And now they have all of the nodes they purchased are now available and as RPC providers in Coinbase Wallet, rather than the user having to manually add each one at a time, which includes the name, the chain ID, the URL, one at a time. They don't have to do that. They can just copy all their QuickNode RPCs over. And the same thing for Infura, right? Infura sells access to nodes, and so a user who has purchased several nodes can just get their list, and maybe that list also includes the Infura public ones.
And it could include their credentials and all of the other fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's got their login information in the URI, all of it with a single copy and paste.
Not every RPC provider does authentication through like a URL path key like Infura does. So do you need to add some sort of like authentication section to this schema?
Yeah, that would be something to add to the EIP. Like, I mean, HTTP basic auth and query parameters are, obviously already supported. But what else would we need?
Bearer tokens, at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that because, like, generally, as we're having the conversation, what I think is we would probably modify our UI to have a more heavy warning for a user who wants to add a node to their RPC list that's not QuickNode, Infura, Alchemy, or a vendor that we've audited. And we generally like having 3085 because it gives more flexibility for the community to decide which chain is the one that's fitting their needs best. So if there's a way to make it easier for users to manage, we do provide, like in our UI right now, we provide a way for you to change the RPC URL, but we don't. I think add Ethereum chain and switch Ethereum chain, it's RPC URLs is an array right now, but there isn't, I guess, a nice way for like saying, hey, add another node to this list. But it should be trivial for us to support because internally we store chain information similar to the 3085 spec. So if this EIP were just to provide a way that makes it easier for us to for Adapt to say, hey, add this node URL to list of nodes associated with this chain, yeah, that'd be pretty simple for us to do.
Just to be clear, the DApp wouldn't be providing this. This would be pasted, a URL pasted by a user into your UI somewhere. Like this EIP does not specify a specific communication protocol for transferring these lists around. The assumption is it's just a link, and the user can copy and paste it.
Although it does also provide a way to have like an extension list, so it would be like the format, yeah. So that, like you can have a list that extends from another list. So you could say like that you have the Coinbase list as your default list, and then you extend it with another list that adds stuff to it. So you could represent it in this format.
Sure, but still the key here is that the DApp is not telling you about these lists at all. It is the user that is telling you about them.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't imagine when I'm thinking DApp, I'm just the use case that makes the most sense to me would be a user wants to pay for their own node instance or access to a node instance through a trusted vendor. And then they can either copy like a link into the wallet UI, but ideally it'd just be as simple as clicking a button and then approving and being done with it. But I guess what you guys are kind of focused on is the concept of like having like a list of trusted nodes.
I think it's just more a standard for representing a list of RPCs. Like that's all. Really, this EIP is not trying to make assertions about who to trust or anything like that. It's just saying, here is a standardized way to represent an array of RPCs with all the necessary information, metadata about them, etc. Versioning as well, so you can automatically update. How the user gets such a list into the wallet, I believe, is fully out of scope. Is that correct, Sam?
Yeah, exactly. Like
CIP.
a wallet could easily support, add RPC provider and like internally maintain an extension list where you add them to the list. Like that would totally be doable. However,
I mean, one
Got
can
it,
imagine
yeah.
also wallets. A good wallet that wants to be pro-user could allow the user to export their RPCs. So let's say a user is using Ethereum for a long time, they've built up their collection of RPCs they use. A wallet may, allow a user to go through a data export if they want to migrate to a new wallet. And so allowing the user to download all my RPCs, and then this would be a standardized format for that, would be another potential use case.
Yeah, I'm just zooming out. I mean, I think like in general for like the well, it's a terrible thing, but like in general, right? The ideal, the if you're thinking about user safety, the best thing would be to make it easy for a user to run their own light node and
Yes.
and connect their wallet to that light node. That's like
Yes,
the gold
100%.
standard. And then to me, like the way I'm thinking about it as a user would be like, I don't really want to have like a big list of. I guess okay, if I in some like dream world, maybe my list would include if each of you guys, if I trust each of you guys, or you guys are all good friends, I say, okay, well, you all have your nodes. I trust your nodes, right? That might be the use case for a list. But where we are today, it's more like there's random URLs that people see, and those are not trustworthy. There's the nodes provided by the chain itself. Those you could usually think of as trustworthy. And then there's paid nodes. And I would say that those are as trustworthy as your evaluation of the team behind those vendors.
And
Again,
all of these
so I guess
are
to me, the list makes sense in a world where I could see it making sense, like putting the work into this infrastructure in a world where like we see more people running light nodes, and you could plausibly be building your trusted list of light nodes from people you trust to run a light node and not mess with the data.
I mean, I think we already see that, right, with QuickNode and Alchemy and Fira, where users are saying, I trust QuickNode to be the executor of my node, and I will pay them monthly or whatever. And they will give you one or more RPCs in a list.
Yeah, I guess in that world, like the thing that I could see that we could do better as a wallet is just show a different UI for trusted vendors like QuickNode than we do for a node that we don't recognize. I think today, if you try to add like a QuickNode URL via 3085, will still show you a big scary warning, but perhaps we shouldn't do that.
I think
the process we would follow internally would be like the reason I'm kind of using QuickNode is we've used QuickNode as a vendor before, so they had to do it's like a lengthy onboarding process to become a Coinbase vendor. Like based on the lengthy onboarding process we've done for existing vendors, I'm pretty sure we could probably change our UI treatment when we recognize a node URL as being from QuickNode or another vendor we've onboarded. But I don't think we would do it for any node that we don't recognize or that we haven't we don't have an established relationship with.
This is again a little off topic for 5139, but I do think that if I were in your shoes, I would also give preferential treatment to localhost. Like if the
Yeah.
user is putting in a localhost RPC, you should not give them a scary warning. I don't think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I think it's reasonable to. I mean, as your position as the wallet vendor is, the users are implicitly trusting you with keys and whatnot, and so it'd be nice if you could extend that trust to saying, "Hey, here are some other parties we trust as well," like you described, like QuickNote or Infura or Alchemy or whatever, whoever it is.
Yeah, it's basically those three.
Sure.
Sweet. Yeah, that's good feedback. I've taken out a lot of notes. I'm 15 minutes over from what I had on my calendar, so I think I need to hop soon. But thanks for throwing this meeting together. Lots of good notes, and yeah, we're happy to participate.
Happy to have you here. I have to take off too, so see you, everybody.
See you guys later.
See you.
Bye bye.